Hey everyone, welcome back to Chronicles. This is a podcast where I share with you real stories, tales of murder, strange historical events, haunted places, and all those mysteries that make us stop and say, wait, what is going on with people? Just a quick note, some of these stories include violence or disturbing events, so please check the description to make sure this episode is right for you. Now, let's dive into today's story. The baby farmer. This case takes us back to Victorian Britain, where something called baby farms existed. But what were they? Were they as horrifying as the name suggests? And how were they tied to one of the most notorious killers in British history? Let's find out. In 1896, on the River Thames in Britain, a man pulled something out of the water. It was wrapped up, weighted down with a heavy brick. Inside the bundle were layers of fabric, newspaper, brown paper, and the partially decomposed body of a baby girl named Elena Fry. A piece of tape was tied tightly around her neck. That gruesome discovery led police straight to one of the deadliest female serial killers of the 19th century, Amelia Dyer. Her crimes spanned 30 years and changed child protection laws in Britain forever. Amelia Dyer was born in 1838 near Bristol, the youngest of 5 children in a respectable, educated family. Her mother became gravely ill with typhus, and Amelia, still a child, was forced to care for her until she died. At 24, Amelia left home and married a man 35 years older than her. They even lied on the marriage certificate about their ages. Amelia later worked as a nurse where she met Ellen Dane, a woman who introduced her to a dark way of making money, baby farming. But first, what exactly were baby farms? In Victorian times, women who became pregnant outside marriage faced enormous social shame. Many were forced to give up their babies. And after an 1834 law removed fathers' financial responsibility for illegitimate children, poor families could no longer afford to keep them either. So baby farms appeared, places where individuals took in infants for a fee. Sometimes the children were genuinely cared for until their mothers could reclaim them. But all too often, it became a business of neglect and exploitation. Babies were starved, drugged, or abandoned, all for profit. This was the world Amelia Dyer stepped into. She had already lost her husband and needed money to support her own child. In 1869, Amelia began posting ads in newspapers claiming she and her husband were looking to adopt a baby for a very small fee. She promised a safe, loving home. Parents trusted her, but in reality, Amelia had no intention of caring for the children. Instead, she dosed them with Mother's Friend, a popular syrup for babies at the time, laced with opium. It kept the infants quiet until they starved to death. To make matters worse, doctors usually signed off the deaths as natural. Poor nutrition was common, and illegitimate children didn't raise many questions. This allowed Amelia to keep killing over and over for 30 years. She remarried in 1872 and had 2 more children of her own, but her crimes never stopped. In 1878, a doctor grew suspicious about one of her cases and filed a complaint. Amelia was arrested, but only charged with neglect, not murder. She served just 6 months of hard labor. When she was released, Amelia pretended to return to nursing. She even spent time in mental asylums, claiming breakdowns and suicidal thoughts. But this was mostly a cover. Soon she was back to baby farming, only now her methods were even more brutal. She stopped relying on starvation. Instead, she strangled babies with tape and dumped their bodies in the Thames. She used fake names, moved from town to town, and avoided detection. But in 1896, her luck finally ran out. When baby Helena Fry's body was discovered in the river, police examined the wrappings. On the newspaper, they found a name, Mrs. Thomas, one of Amelia's aliases, along with an address. Police set a trap. They posed as a woman looking to give up her illegitimate baby and wrote Amelia a letter. She replied, signing it Mrs. Thomas, and arranged a meeting. Instead, she walked straight into a police sting. When investigators searched her home, they were struck by the foul smell, but found no bodies. What they did find was damning. Spools of tape identical to what was found around Helena Fry's neck, letters from desperate mothers asking about their babies, and telegrams arranging adoptions. Police soon discovered that just in the previous month, 20 babies had been left in Amelia's care. None were alive. Searching the Thames, they recovered 6 more infant corpses, all killed the same way. Estimates suggest Amelia Dyer may have murdered 300 to 400 babies, a number that dwarfs most other European serial killers. In court, she confessed to 1 killing. Her defense claimed insanity, pointing to her asylum stays. But prosecutors argued she was perfectly sane, just cunning. The jury took only 4.5 minutes to find her guilty. On June 10, 1896, Amelia Dyer was hanged at the age of 58. Before her execution, she wrote a letter from prison admitting her crimes and begging forgiveness, while insisting her daughter and son-in-law were not involved. Her case shocked Britain, exposing the horrors of baby farming. It led to stricter adoption and foster care laws, and even helped establish the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, NSSCP. Baby farming faded out in Britain, but the term still survives today, sometimes used in places like China and India, to describe darker, more exploitative practices we'll explore in another episode. That's the story of Amelia Dyer, the baby farmer. If this left you saying, wait, what is going on with people? Then don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And, of course, stay tuned for the next chilling story on Crime Chronicles.